Didn't you guys already do an Unchained video?
Yes. So as far as Weatherman and I are concerned, there are two valid ways you can play Unchained. The live twin variant that Weatherman already went over in this video, go check that one out if you haven't already, and the pure version of Unchained. Each version has their own benefits that make it better than the other. For example, if you've seen Weatherman's video, you know that the live twin Unchained can bait out interruptions really well, and it can make stronger end board. Pure Unchained, on the other hand, doesn't have the bombastic turn 1 output of live twin Unchained, but does have better grind game and has more versatile ways of navigating the opponent's board. This version also benefits from having a more versatile extra deck since you don't have to dedicate 3 slots to Evil Twin, so you get more options there. Before continuing to watch this video, just know that while I am going to be talking about everything unique about this deck, I'm going to be assuming that you've already watched Weatherman's Unchained video, which by itself will tell you almost everything you need to know about the Unchained archetype. Watching Weatherman's Live Chains video is going to give you a lot of information about how the Unchained archetype works overall, though this video is going to show you more combos because we get access to the one Unchained card that version doesn't play. Rakea is the last Unchained twin, and in this version it's just as important as Aruha and Sarama. Rakea actually has a quick effect to destroy any card you control. That's all it does, just a quick effect, shoot one of your own cards into the grave. In most decks you'd be like, what? But every Unchained card has an effect when destroyed. The links add back fiends from grave to hand. Disaster revives another Unchained monster. Abominable revives itself on end phase. The twins all summon another Unchained from deck, and the back row also all summon another Unchained from deck. So ordinarily, we want to have Aruha to destroy one of our back row in order to summon itself, and to get the floating of the back row to summon Sarama from deck. But we could also normal summon Rakea to destroy one of our own back row to get the same grave float of summoning Sarama from deck. More than just starting combos, Rakea also has niche applications as well. For example, during the battle phase, after attacking with your monsters, it could destroy one of your other monsters or one of your back row to summon another monster and attack in with that freshly summoned monster. On the opponent's turn, it can act as an interruption, destroying one of your twins or one of your back row to summon Abominable from deck to destroy one of their cards, similarly to how Escape would do. It could also act as just a free way to destroy one of your own cards for value, like if you have Abominable on the field that wasn't summoned that turn, you could destroy it to revive it on end phase to discard and pop an opponent's card. It isn't going to come up in the live twin version as much, but you should know that the Unchained back row only float if they were destroyed while face down, so you can't just target to destroy them with Rakea and then chain the traps to get their effects and still get the floating effects. They only get to float if Rakea or any other destruction effect is destroying them while they are still face down. In order to get the main combo started in this deck, you want either Aruha or Rakea or the Prison to Search for him, and then the Chamber or Escape or the Prison to Search for him. With Aruha or Rakea, the combo is going to start the same regardless of which trap you're using. With Aruha, you're going to set your trap face down, and then you're going to activate Aruha in hand to destroy the trap itself to summon itself. The trap will then activate in grave to summon Sarama from deck. With Rakea, you're going to set the trap face down, then normal summon your Rakea and use its effect to destroy your trap, and of course the trap is going to summon Sarama from deck. It will go differently from here though, regardless of how you start, depending on which trap you're using and depending on what else you have available. If you destroyed Chamber, then you're going to use Sarama's effect to target Chamber and grave and set it back to your field, and then destroy the Unchained you started with. Then you can activate the Aruha or Rakea in grave to summon Abominable Unchained Soul from deck. And with Sarama and Abominable, you're going to link summon Unchained Soul of Rage, which will be a quick effect link summon into Nightmare Unicorn using one of the opponent's special summon monsters as material, then shuffling another of their cards into the deck. You'll also be able to use Chamber to revive the Abom and non-target destroy another of their cards. If you destroyed Escape, then you're going to use Sarama's effect to summon Rakea from deck, and you can just end your turn there. On your opponent's turn, you have both Rakea and Escape, both which can destroy your Unchained twins. By doing so, the twin you destroy is going to summon Abominable Unchained Soul from deck to discard a card and non-target destroy an opponent's card. Having just Escape and Sarama will allow for this. However, having Rakea on field will mean that it will be harder for the opponent to play around this, because it will provide a secondary access to floating in case the opponent deals with some of it. You could also use Rakea to destroy Sarama and use Sarama's grave effect to summon Unchained Soul of Disaster from deck in defense mode for a follow-up turn, also for its big 3k defense for more survival, and because it floats when destroyed to keep you alive even more. Both of these plays are gonna summon less than 5 times, meaning that you're gonna be totally protected from Nibiru. Though if you aren't afraid of Nibiru, this deck has other ways to get stronger plays going. If you started your play with Aruha, and you have either Rakea or Saruma in your opening hand, then you can set one of your Unchained back row, then use Aruha to destroy that back row to summon itself, and use the back row to summon whichever twin you don't already have in hand. Then you can normal summon your other Unchained twin and keep the combo going from there. Saruma will bring back the trap you destroyed and destroy Aruha, and Aruha will trigger to summon one of your level 8s from deck, Abominable if the trap is Chamber, and Disaster if the trap is Escape. Then you can link the level 8 alongside the Saruma to go into Unchained Soul of Rage. This way you're going to have the interruption from your trap and your Rage with the Rakea on board to back both of them up. However, this play will use 5 summons, meaning that you will be opening yourself up to Nibiru, so go for this if your opponent is using a skill that you know locks them out of using Nibiru, or if you know already that they don't have Nibiru in hand. Opening both Unchained traps is like God mode, because the Chamber will become an interruption by reviving Abominable, and of course the Escape is already an interruption. And depending on how good your hand is, you might also have the Unchained Soul of Rage as an interruption. Other than that though, these are the main combos you're going to be going for in this deck, and everything else this deck can do isn't necessarily a combo, but more of an interaction you could choose to use on the fly. Breaking the opponent's board, you are generally going to be using the same combos, however, you are going to have more options at your fingertips to make things easier. For example, you're almost always going to use a floating effect to summon Disaster from deck so that it can use its effect to link with an opponent's monster and go into Unchained Soul of Rage to get your link climbing going. But if the opponent's monster is a link 2, then you could instead go into a link 3 Nightmare Unicorn or Unchained Soul of Anguish, the Nightmare to shuffle any of their cards back, and the Anguish to use another of their monsters as link material to go into a link 4. If the opponent has a link 3, you could use that to go right into Unchained Abomination, skipping all the other steps. Sometimes though, there's gonna be negates on the opponent's side of the board, and it's gonna be difficult to get through them. Maybe Disaster can bait something out, but you gotta be able to think more about how to navigate the opponent's board, and that's where pure Unchained shines most of all. The thing about most negates is that most of them either negate and leave the monster on board, or they negate and destroy. If they negate and destroy one of our twins, we can punish them by summoning Abominable from deck to break their board further. If they negate and destroy our Disaster, then it will get to revive one of our Unchained monsters for you. But if the negate doesn't destroy, then we still have bodies on board to link summon with, and that can make a huge difference, allowing us to go further into our other board breaking options in the extra deck. As far as little interactions go in this deck, Weatherman talks about nearly every little interaction there is to know in Unchained in his Unchained video, and the only other extra interactions you can get involve Rakea, and I already talked about that, so let's take a look at the deck list. This is what a standard pure Unchained deck looks like at the moment. Of course, maxing out on all 3 of the search spell is important for consistent access to Aruha and the traps, and even still, playing 3 of each trap is important to be able to open them as much as possible to go alongside the Aruha or the Rakea. You're going to need to play 2 Rakea, because if you started the combo with Rakea, you might also summon one from deck as well, and having a second for grind game can be good too for repeating the combo, but playing more than 2 isn't necessary. And speaking of repeating the combo, we do have 2 copies of each of our main link monsters in the extra deck, so we can have a solid grind game if the opponent forces us to make it a longer game. Aruha is important to play at 3 because it is the best starter in the deck, but also Saruma at 3 is also very nice. But this is another thing that's different about this deck compared to the live twin version of the deck. Saruma is important for the combo in that deck, but in this deck, top decking it is also insane, because just by top decking it, you can set back any of your Unchained cards, including your monsters, just to pop that very same set card, get whatever floating effect you need, a back row or a twin to summon from the deck, or the Disaster to summon from grave. You only need one of each level 8. Disaster is a brick, we really don't want to see it in hand, and that's why most people play the skill Fiend Exchange to return a high level Fiend to the bottom of the deck in order to draw a fresh card. An Abominable is only necessary at 1, however, playing 2 or 3 is more justifiable, since if the opponent destroys any of your cards, you can summon it from hand like a hand trap, and it will get its on summon effect. You could also trigger it yourself by destroying your own card to summon it from hand. This play is definitely going to be good, however, it will cost cards in hand to do this, and we much prefer to summon it from deck, so that we have more discard fodder for his own and for Unicorn's effect. In the extra deck, I mentioned that we play 2 of each of the main links, but we only play 1 of our link 4, because if you are in a position to summon it in the first place, you're almost guaranteed to win that very same turn anyway, so you're never going to be in a situation to summon a second one anyway. Since we do have 2 level 8s in the deck, we could set up our floating on the opponent's turn so that we end on both of them at the end of their turn, so at the start of our own turn we can use them both to go into Dingirsu to non-target, non-destroy, remove an opponent's card. His destruction protection is also an optional effect, so you can still destroy your own cards while he has material just by saying no to his protection. We need to play the 1 Nightmare Unicorn to summon with the Unchained Soul of Rage. You could even play 2 copies if you like, but you could instead play a Nightmare Phoenix to get rid of something like Necro Valley, for example. Almost everybody is playing 2 copies of Ice Dragon's Prison, and this is really nice this meta since a lot of decks are playing with monsters of the same type. Only 2 copies because it is a hard once per turn and it will brick you, and because we do want the majority of our hand to be Unchained card. But if you wanted a more free-to-play version that only uses the mini box, then you could take out the Nightmares and the Dingirsu, play more Unchained links, and instead of the IDP, you can play more Abominable. I will say though that even here, you will be far weaker for not having at least Nightmare Unicorn, so I would recommend picking that one up because it will make you quite a bit stronger. That's enough yapping from me. I know what you really came here to see. It's time to do. Alright, so going first, I have a really unfortunate hand because I do have an Unchained back row that is one part of the combo, but I don't have the other part of the combo, that being Rakea or Aruha. So unfortunately, I'm just going to have to set 3, but that's okay. I can still potentially float into an Abominable on the opponent's turn to interrupt and keep me alive. He's going to be playing 6 Samurai. He's going to use Reinforcement of the Army, searching for a Genba. He's going to summon Kageki. Kageki is going to summon Genba from his hand, and he's going to use both of them to go into Shien, and he's going to summon the Grandmaster, and the Grandmaster is going to attack into Saruma. Saruma is then going to float into a bomb from deck, which is going to discard the IDP, which I purposefully kept in hand for that purpose to try to destroy the Shien, but he is going to protect his Shien by destroying his Grandmaster. That's okay, and I'm not going to activate any more back row here because I want to bait it out on my turn just in case he has anything left. So I'm going to activate Chamber, trying to revive, and he is going to negate it. That's his negate out of the way. Because he negated it, now I can flip up my IDP safely without fear of being negated, and I'm going to banish both of his 6 Sams, and now he's going to use Compulse to get rid of my bomb. It's unfortunate, but I'm going to have to find another way to get him on field, but that's no problem. I'm going to search for Saruma, the best follow-up of all time, reset a Chamber, destroy the Chamber. Chamber is going to summon from deck, which is going to trigger a bomb to summon himself from hand, and then the Chamber is going to summon Rakea from deck. I'm going to attack, and I could use Rakea to destroy my Saruma after it attacks to summon another from deck using the Saruma's floating effect, but I don't need to do that. I already have lethal on board. That's GG's. So this time I'm going second against Tachyon. We haven't seen Tachyon for a while, but they did recently get buffed up again. So he's summoning Parsec. He's going to search the Nebula and use the Nebula to summon itself and another Parsec, and he's going to use one of his Parsecs and his Nebula to go into Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon. That's going to let him use the skill to set his transmigration from the deck and end his turn. So he doesn't have an Omni Negate here, and unfortunately for me, I don't have a Ruha, I don't have Rakea. I have hella traps, but I don't have a way to like really synergize with him. The only way I'd be able to do that is with Abomination. I can't bait out his trap, so I might as well just try to activate, see if he does anything about it. He does do anything about it. He's going to just straight up negate my prison. It's a good move by him. Here I'm just going to summon my Saruma, and the Saruma is going to attack into Parsec, and I'm going to end my turn. I do have an escape. I do have a Chamber, so I'm sitting pretty. I'm really sitting pretty. This is one of the best fields you can get, funnily enough, is just a normal summoned monster and a couple of back row. He can't break this board, bro. Trust me. He's going to start the turn because he has his Galaxy Eyes. He's going to get his Barrier Force on field, and he's going to use Nebula Dragon to summon itself and Sword Shield from hand, and using those two, he's going to go into another copy of Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon. So if I deal with one of them, he still has another one. So now he thinks he's baiting me. I don't care if you get 2 monsters on board. So he's going to activate his rank up magic, and now that he's activated his rank up magic, targeting his main monster's on Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon, I'm going to target it with Escape to destroy it and my Saruma. And Saruma is going to trigger to summon a bomb from deck, discard the other Chamber from hand that I kept in hand on purpose, specifically so that I could discard it, destroy his other Tachyon Dragon. He's only going to have 1 card in hand, and it's going to be a Sword Shield. He's going to summon it. He can't do anything now. It's going to be my turn, and I have a Chamber. Chamber is going to revive my Saruma, and Saruma, as we know, is the best follow-up play of all time. So Saruma is going to set back a Chamber. Chamber is going to destroy. Chamber is going to summon the Dog from deck. Dog is going to use his monster to go into the Unchained Soul of Rage, and I'm going to set my escape. And if I don't win this turn for whatever reason, I have the Unchained Soul of Rage to use his monster as material. I have the escape to destroy another of his cards and get a float off, and I just have a whole bunch of floating to keep myself alive regardless. But I don't need to worry about that because the game is already over. Unchained was actually my main in Master Duel, and I mean the cards we already have in Duel Links, not the new ones. It's kind of trippy whenever a deck you played in the TCG or Master Duel ends up in Duel Links and you can play it again in a fresh format. Funnily enough, Weatherman mained Live Twin Unchained in Master Duel, and I mained Pure Unchained, so it's like the old times being relived for us both. But hey guys, how do you feel about Pure Unchained? Unchained? Which version do you prefer between these two? And if you like the video, then slap like now. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell to get notified next time we drop a video. Have yourselves a good one, guys. And I've been Undead from Team 6K, signing out.
Ay, why they gotta hate on me? I done got me 250,000 views and they still saying they low key. They ain't wanna come work with the kid, but I'm flexing with Zay on beats. How they ask for a spot at the gym, but they leave all the weight on me. I don't ask them to wait on me. They would ask where they gon' be with a song if they wanted the weatherman. I ain't asking to pay no fees. She was homeless and needed a spot. I ain't ask her to pay no lease. I ain't ask her to say no please. I ain't ask her to make no cheese. Scream fake but it ain't on me. Got clean so it ain't no streets. Why green if it ain't no keeps? Brought cream so it ain't no beef. My team say it ain't no chief. My demon they hang on me. They seemingly ain't no peace. I seen him, he ain't no beast. For real.